If you think about all the technology companies that we know about today, they were all funded by venture capitalists early on.
Historically, women have been shut out of the venture capital world. It has been on purpose. Money is power, and this is a very lucrative industry.
I win.
I was raised to believe that talking about money was in bad taste. Men always talked about it.
Someone needs to do something about this.
To be a founder takes grit.
Dapper Boy is gender-neutral clothing. I've been fundraising now for over a year.
We're out of capital. I don't know what else to do.
I'll never forget one investor
Good to move on.
asked me if this was just a passion project of mine until I had a baby.
We connect breast cancer survivors to certified mastectomy fitters. So we joke that it's like Warby Parker for boobs.
This could easily be $1 billion company.
Why are you an angel investor?
I'm not going to lie, I like money, right? But if I can invest and help another woman get somewhere they want to go, it's a gift to get to do it.
We have 2 companies that are already $1 billion and above.
It's kind of unheard of to have unicorns this quickly.
If I write a woman a $10,000 check, she's actually going to go much further with that money than a similarly situated male would. The returns are actually better when you invest in women.
A study by McKinsey shows that investable assets controlled by women are expected to rise to $30 trillion by the end of the decade. What are they going to do with that money?
We support female founders. 10 years from now, we'll look like the geniuses, right?
If these women don't get funding, what innovations are we going to be missing out on that could impact the planet?
This is fun, huh? Rockstar life.
Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Money and You Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I am so thrilled today. Hopefully you just heard or watched that trailer that we just played. That was a trailer for Show Her the Money. And today we are blessed to have the producer of the movie that just came out and was just seen at the Los Angeles Film Festival last night by me and many others. We have Catherine Gray here today with us, and I am super excited to talk to her about this latest endeavor. We had Catherine on the show about 100 episodes ago. I think it was episode 9, and you can hear her talk about this funding idea in more detail. But right now, let me read Catherine's intro here. Catherine Gray is the producer of the groundbreaking new documentary, Show Her the Money, featuring rock star female investors who invest in diverse women entrepreneurs with innovations that will change the world. Catherine is doing a 50-city grassroots tour of the film to encourage more women to invest in female-founded funds to move the needle on women getting less than 2% of venture capital. She is also an author, TEDx speaker, podcast host, founder of She Angel Investors, and co-founder of the nonprofit She Angels Foundation. She also hosts and produces the popular podcast series Invest in Her, distributed on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Ms. Gray has produced, co-produced, and directed several documentaries, including I Can't Marry You, with Ellen DeGeneres' mom, Betty, as narrator for PBS, Millionaires' True Stories, and several LGBTQ films for Logo. She also helped start a gay cable network and produced a series called Way Off Broadway with trailblazing entertainers and recording artists. Currently, she is co-producing Millennials Are Killing Musicals with plans to go to Broadway. This female-driven show focuses on motherhood and the impact of social media. The team behind it is 80% women. Welcome, Catherine.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I feel welcome.
Good. I'm glad because I'm so thrilled to have you here. It was, I re-listened to the show we did in January of 2021.
Wow.
And you were so informative. And so I want people to make sure they go back and actually listen to that show. So if you're thinking about...
I think I might go back and listen to that show.
No, you provided a great deal of education around VC funding and angel investing and all the things that you are currently talking about, I think, quite a bit.
Yes.
And at the time of that podcast, this was going to be kind of your next project. And here we are. And
Here we
done.
are.
So
Yeah.
can you tell us what you've been up to in the last 2 years?
Sure. So for the last couple of years, we've been producing the show that you came to see last night, the movie, which is Show Her the Money. And it's exactly about that, Michelle. It's about we get less than 2% of venture capital funding, as you know. You were at the movie last night. And how are we going to change that up? Mm-hmm. It needs to be fixed. We can't live with it that way. It's, with 98% of venture capital going to men and only 2%, and you're talking like $250 billion a year that go to, venture capital funding. And so it's so paltry what is given to women. And so how are we going to change that? And the movie's basically about educating women and people, but mainly women, about, well, what is venture capital?
Right.
And why would I want to invest in it? And, what is it that I would want to become a part of this? Mm-hmm. And so we hope that they walk away from the film understanding in the lay terms we've explained it in, and entertaining, engaging stories to captivate people about it, is what it is and why they would want to invest in it or get funding from it. And so, as you know, the film has 3 different sectors of characters. The women that are starting their own venture capital funds. I mean, these women to me are rock stars. Yeah. I mean, they're raising $25, $50, $60 million. Yeah, that's million. I mean, these are badass women. Yeah, but more women are starting their own venture capital funds than ever in history. And this is a good thing. But what's equally important is that we have women investing in those funds, because women are coming into trillions of dollars in the coming decade through their own accord or through inheritance. And what are they going to do with that money? They have got to understand what venture capital is and put part of their monies into that as part of their portfolio. Right. Not just because it's a good investment and it can be tremendously lucrative compared to other investments, but also because it's going to be their legacy. They are going to impact the future for themselves and their families and their children. It's so important that women become part of this ecosystem. Right. And so the third part is that we're featuring the women founders, the women that would otherwise not be getting funding if it wasn't for these female-founded funds. Right. And so it's such an important engaging, fascinating movie about how these 3 groups of women intertwine to create a successful ecosystem that creates future generational wealth for women in particular. And women have been left out of this venture capital world, and we're out on a 50-city tour with this film around the country to educate them and excite them about why they want to be part of venture capital.
Yeah, and the movie really was so inspiring. I want to just talk about the movie for a minute, because I didn't know what to expect. It exceeded all my expectations. I brought a friend, and she wants to learn more about business. She's been in business, but sometimes you find yourself an entrepreneur and you really have never taught yourself any actual business. And now she needs money, and so this was perfect. So she referred to it as a business film. She was like, I want to go with you to any business films. And we both ended up crying, laughing. It was so much more than a business film. It was really quite an emotional experience to watch it. So not only was there a great education around venture capital, but the stories, it was so well told, and you just, I don't know, it was a real experience, and I think everybody in the audience felt that way. And so I want to commend you on making, such an important film that teaches you so much, but in such a powerful way. from an emotional standpoint.
Thank you. And, I have to say, you can have a vision, but you have to have a director that can tell the story in the way that you envision it. And that's what Kai Dickens did. She's the amazing director on the film that brought it to life. And so together, I feel like we created exactly that tool we needed to take it out on the road and help change this, actually move that needle. And what you said is so powerful. People don't want to just talk about venture capital. It sounds boring. They don't know what it is. It's really not.
Pretty much all things money.
Yeah, right. All things money. But it really is very exciting because these are decisions about what our future is going to look like. And you can be part of that decision making. It's very powerful. I said last night, women impact 80% of all the purchases of a household.
Yeah.
We need to impact much more of where the investment dollars are going. And that combination is so incredibly powerful. It can literally save the world. The Dalai Lama does say the Western woman will save the world. I believe that one of the most important ways is by stepping into learning about what is venture capital, how powerful it is to shaping our future, and women actually understanding it to put their money into it.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, one of the things Pocket Sun talks about from SoCal Ventures is that you don't have to vet the companies. You don't have to understand it. You need to align with a female-founded venture capital fund that they are so smart and they vet it for you and they do it for you. And then it's like a mutual fund. You put your monies together with other people and then they utilize that to disperse it to like 30, 40 different companies. So it's kind of like a mutual fund. But in startups and companies that are on the growth path. And so this is where the money is made. People think they make money in the public stock market. No, people have made so much money on those stocks before they ever hit the public market. By then, they've seen their biggest profits. And so it's a fascinating world to learn about. And thank you for the compliment that you come to the movie and you actually, even though you're learning, you feel so entertained and engaged in the people. And it's the storytelling to humanize what is venture capital.
Right.
So that people feel excited about it and not, baffled by it or
baffled and intimidated.
Intimidated.
And
That's
I feel
a perfect
like
word.
When, with men being the ones mostly talking about it, it never had that human element, really. It did feel kind of cold and all about the numbers.
And nobody's talking about it anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, and
That
if they
is
do,
true.
it's like you said, it's, people just get a blank look when you say venture capital, but it's so exciting, so engaging. And now that you can see all these incredible women that have stepped into that arena and then come to our film and learn the terminology so you don't feel intimidated by it.
Right.
And just you'll be so engaged with their incredible stories of how they built their companies or how they built their fund or why they're investing in different companies that are innovating things like cures and how to make hot flashes better and helping women with that have had mastectomies or all of these inventions and ideas that need funding. One woman I just met, it's so incredible, Michelle. I get to hear these women's ideas and inventions every day. This one in particular has a new swab out that's just like you did COVID. You did a swab, you knew if you had COVID. This one lets you know if you have lung cancer.
Whoa.
And lung cancer kills more people than breast cancer and colon cancer combined. I did not know this till I met this brilliant woman. And this is the kind of innovations you hear about on a daily basis. These women are so brilliant. It is absolutely a crime that they're not being funded. The only people that can help change that are women, because people tend to invest in people they identify with. I said this in my TED Talk. It's called Fund Women Save the World. Research shows that people tend to invest in people they identify with. And so there's no getting around that. So if you're going to go out there and pitch, you are more likely to get investment from a woman sitting at that investment decision table than from a man. And so we need more women at the investment table.
Yeah, there were so many things I didn't know. I mean, I know now about the 2% going to women because of the conversation we had 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I would have never, I still haven't heard that anywhere else, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
It was an interesting fact then, and the fact that nobody really talks about it still is interesting. So I'm so glad that you are. But there were other things like that I really probably wouldn't have guessed, that people tend to fund people like them. I mean, that's was not the way I would have thought that it worked.
Yes.
And also, if the men are hearing your pitches and your pitches are about something more, feminine, they're not going to understand.
Right.
And it took me back to a memory. I had to do a pitch at the end of MBA school to some real venture capitalists, all men.
Yeah.
This was in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And I just remember, putting this thing together and marching around. And it was do-it-yourself home improvements on videotape, like when VCRs had just probably come out, and I thought it was a brilliant idea because I'm a woman who wanted to watch a tape about how to fix your plumbing or whatever, and they all thought it was just ridiculous, like nobody would watch that. And of course now, all these years later, there's televised home improvement shows everywhere. But so I thought about that, and I thought, wow, I wonder if women had been listening to me do this little pitch, if it had been any different.
Oh, totally. They probably would have been, oh my God, I want that too.
I know.
I mean, obviously they did. Look how popular it is.
Yeah, I know. So it made me really think about that fact, that if you're talking about something that really women understand better than men won't see it as valuable. They won't see it as something viable.
Yeah, they just don't understand it. They don't get it,
exactly.
and it's not their fault, I don't think. But you just relate to people that you identify with, and that's the bottom line. We need more women, more LGBTQ, and more people of color sitting at the decision-making table. And so that's the effort. And the beautiful thing about the women that have started the venture capital funds is they are funding women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ. It's taken women to start those funds to focus on those underserved communities. But like I said, they need people to invest in them.
Right.
And so...
Which actually, that was another piece I don't think I knew, that there were people like you and I behind these big venture capital funds. I didn't know where they got the money. I guess
Yeah. Just from what's called LPs, which we explained in the film last night. Once you're an angel investor in a venture capital fund, you become what's called an LP, which is limited partner. And when I first stepped into that arena, they were throwing around all these acronyms, and I'm like, nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
Sure.
Let's really break this down. So when you watch our film, you totally get it, and you understand the terminology. You're not going to invest in something that you don't understand.
That's right. Or maybe you shouldn't. It was
of course.
Why I never got into crypto. I just didn't really get it. Yeah.
But awareness creates change. And I have always been a proponent that, it is film and television and theater, I think the arts, that help change culture. Because it opens people's minds to something that they otherwise don't know about. And once they know, awareness creates change.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's another example of something that we think is beyond our capability to understand. And you did break it down in a beautiful way, graphically and otherwise with the horses, and I loved it. To make it like that aha of, wow, this isn't actually as complicated as I thought it would be.
Exactly.
So it's really important, I think, especially for women who have a little, maybe more, I don't know, they're more chronically the ones saying, oh, I just don't understand money. And so this is a big help, I think, to let them see that.
Right.
And we can certainly understand it.
And we talk about it back when our mothers were growing up, most of them were not accustomed to being investors or, having anything to do with the household money. My mother was, but most weren't.
Too. I
but don't forget, in the 70s, a woman had to have a man sign to get a credit card.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, how archaic.
I know.
If it was up to some people today, I think they would go back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, literally, they just would turn it back to the 50s.
Yeah.
But since we don't want that to happen, I say right now, You can go cast a vote for what's important to you, but believe me, putting money in venture capital, women-founded funds is voting with your money.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're voting with your money. And it's very powerful.
It's very powerful. And one thing that was said at the end of the movie, which struck me also, is this idea that money is power. And for the most part, you almost want to avoid saying that because there's something about that phrase that's, first of all, very masculine.
I was going to say to women.
Yeah. I think it's appealing to men, but we've been, or at least I was brought up to feel like, you don't want to go there. I mean, and I love that they said it, and they said it comfortably, because it's not money is power like you're going to become,
not for using it for some bad reason.
Right.
It's money is power to make the world a better place and more equitable for everyone. That's what it means.
Right.
It means you don't want just to have the top 1% or less having all the money. You want other people to have an opportunity to have money to do good things with.
Right.
And that's what the power part is about. It's a positive usage of the word.
Right. And we talk about mindset a lot on this show, and I think that is a mindset that it needs to be shifted. And I felt you shifted it in the movie. I felt like, oh, there's the shift right there. These women saying that, and they were all helping other women, and, it was not about their own personal power to control things. It was definitely about their power to help and serve.
Absolutely.
And so that's a really key shift, I think, that women especially, have to make.
Absolutely. How do we help each other prosper? And the whole world will benefit.
And the acceptance that money is one of the tools, maybe the biggest tool to make that happen.
Absolutely.
So,
we will suffer if we leave our 2% there. And believe me, I've been talking about this for probably 10 years. And we are taking this on the 50 city tour to educate more women and get a groundswell movement of them investing in women venture capital and in private equity and belonging to these angel groups.
Right.
So there's various ways to get involved. Different levels. Sometimes people ask me, there's some angel groups, the entry level is $1,000 to $5,000. Most of the venture capital firms are $25,000. So it is a certain status. It's like a C-suite woman or a woman who's coming into inheritance. But those women, by investing in these venture capital funds, are ultimately helping those women that weren't given that opportunity, an opportunity to build wealth for other people who didn't have the advantage that they perhaps had. And this makes it more equalized for everyone.
Right. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And it was also interesting, all the inventions that women had, brought us over the years that we don't realize,
nobody talks about it.
No.
You go to your refrigerator every day, you turn on your central air, you don't think about a woman invented that,
Well, not only do you not think that, you automatically think that men invented them.
You automatically
When I heard that, I'm like, I didn't even give it a thought. I just assumed men invented the central air in the refrigerator.
Yeah. Do you know the very first invention patented in this country was from a woman? Yeah, the very first. And I think back then they used to make them put the man's name on it, I believe. Wow. Yeah,
that's something.
That's something.
Yeah. Well, you are changing the world, and I think it's an amazing project and an amazing it's an amazing film, but behind the film is this mission of yours that I really admire, and I think you're doing great things for our girls growing up too. I have a 23-year-old daughter. I mean, I'm super excited that things are going to be changing for them.
And I think that's why we've had a lot of men very supportive of our film because they have daughters.
Yeah.
And they've said to me, we're so happy you did this film. We want our daughters to have better opportunities. And I think this film is very eye-opening to them about what women go through.
Right.
I think they have a whole new appreciation for how different it is in business for women.
Yeah, you're definitely exposing that, and you're bringing it to their attention, and you're doing what I love, which is creating more financial literacy out there for everyone, because these are topics that unless you're doing your own research because you need funding or you're looking for other investments, you're just not going to know about it. They're not bringing it up even in college or anywhere. So I love that you're doing this 50-city tour.
Yeah, many of which are colleges and universities.
Right,
yeah.
Which I think is so fantastic. And you mentioned last night that there are ways that people can expand this further themselves. So
yes, if they visit our website, which is showherthemoneymovie.com, they can sign up to share a screening. They can go to our resources page to get resources about how to learn about this, or find an angel group or a venture capital fund, woman found it. We want to be a resource. But the reason we're taking it on the grassroots tour is to have that interaction with people so they can ask questions and participate. Nothing worse than going to a documentary going, this is a problem, and then you walk out and go, well, what could I have done about it?
Yeah.
No, we want to give you the information so you know how you can participate in the solution.
That's really important too.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that, not being a filmmaker, but it is a little frustrating when you walk out of a documentary and you feel the problem, you feel the desire to help, but you don't have an avenue.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so great. So in addition to the 50-city tour, what else is happening with the film? I know you've won a couple of awards already.
Oh, right. So initially we've been doing the film festival circuit. So we just won Best Feature Documentary in Philadelphia and also Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And then last night, of course, we were at the Fort Lauderdale International Film Festival with you. And then we are headed to the Fort Lauderdale International Film Festival.
Yeah. So you were in LA last night and Fort Lauderdale next.
Did I say it backwards?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
Everybody got that idea. Yeah, we were in LA last night, Fort Lauderdale. I don't know where I am.
And you're headed for New York again? Or
in New York, we also are going to have screenings December 1st through the 7th. There'll be theatrical release in both LA and New York, December 1st through the 7th. So anybody could get a ticket by finding it out on our website. But it is December 1st through the 7th. In LA, it's at the Laemmle Santa Monica. So you can look for Show Her the Money on their roster and buy a ticket 3 times a day. And then in New York, December 1st through the 7th, at the Angelica East Village on 2nd.
Okay.
So, and we'll be there. I'll be there December 7th, for Q&A.
Nice.
And December 1st here in LA.
Yeah, I love that. You did do a Q&A last night. And it was really great. You had so many of the people
and I
in
wanted
the
to
film.
mention, we had some of the people from the film there. Especially wanted to mention our executive producer, the famous, iconic Sharon Glass, who played Cagney and Lacey. And that was such an iconic, groundbreaking show for women. And so she carries the torch on now, helping us with Show Her the Money. And we're so grateful to have her, as well as Dawn LaFrida, who's amazing. We have other great executive producers, Wendy Ryan and Diana Grestichek, and then a host of associate producers that are just incredible women.
Yeah, they were all inspiring. It was really so much fun to see them on film and then to hear them speak. So.
And then we have several founders in the film. Vicky Posh from Dapper Boy was there last night. And then we have some other ones that everybody will love their stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Their stories were great. I didn't even want to really go into them because I want people to see them in the movie.
Gotcha.
So what about, I mentioned a little earlier what you do, your whole mission here. You have many aligned businesses and nonprofit, and so can you tell people how they can also get involved with you in these other ways?
Sure, and I just wanted to mention we are looking for corporate sponsors for the 50-city tour for companies that want to align themselves with Show Her the Money, the first tool ever to come out and be an inspirational, engaging way to educate people about venture capital and how to participate. But aside from that, I do things that support that. So I too have a podcast here at UBN.
You sure do. For how many years now?
I think seven plus. It's called Invest in Her. So still focused on how do we fund women. I always have on women that are either funders or founders looking for funding, and always trying to put them together. And then I have a nonprofit called She Angels Foundation, which you're a member of.
Yes.
Yeah. And we give grants to female-founded nonprofits that are helping women and girls.
Yeah, which is also very inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, this is great. I'm super excited just to engage with you on this, because it's such a beautiful mission and so important. And
thank you.
And kind of next level for what we typically talk about on the Money and You show. We talk about a lot of personal finance and kind of working your way toward investments. We have a lot of investment people who come on and talk about different kinds of investments. I think really you're the only one who's talked about this, and so very exciting for people to hear. And I'm just I'm thrilled about what you're doing, and
thank you.
People definitely should look on your website, find out how they can. Well, first of all, they should also see the movie because they will be inspired as well, and want to join all of your
and when
groups.
people want to screen the movie, they can go to showherthemoneymovie.com and email us. It says do a screening, and they can sign up for it in any city in the country or in the world. So we're in the midst of building the 50 cities right now, and we've had a gazillion inquiries about it. Everything from universities to women's empowerment events, business events, a whole plethora of them. But that's what's going to help create the change, and we can't wait to see that needle move.
Ooh, you just gave me another idea. I'll tell you about it after.
Okay, love it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're super busy, and you have a million places to be right now. So I appreciate you talking to me and
thank
talking
you.
to
I'm
the
honored
audience.
To be on.
And it was so much fun to have you in the studio. That doesn't happen.
It was
often.
fun. Yeah. Thanks, Michelle.
So, thank you. And audience, please follow Catherine Gray all over the place. You've got her website up. There's also She Angels Foundation. At Show Her the Money on Instagram, and give me the movie website.
Showherthemoneymovie.com, and of course everybody can find me, Catherine Gray, on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Oh, LinkedIn is a great place. Yeah. So really, she's a person you want to follow and listen to. Listen to her podcast, Invest in Her. It's great, and I think you'll continue to be inspired because you just continue to grow and expand what you're doing. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, no, that's exciting too. You are. Oh, I'll leave with that. There's no networker quite like Catherine Gray, I don't think. So anyway,
thank you.
Yeah, you will get connected with many people if you get involved with her in any of these ways, I think. So thank you, audience, for being here as well. You can find the Money and You show every week coming from ubngo.com. And we are found on all the podcast platforms, the Limit Free Life YouTube channel, Roku, and a few other places. So please listen in. Give us a 5-star rating if you like the show, and a little review. We can always use that help to keep bringing you these great shows. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week.